All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show here at Levi's on Wednesday with a 49er update. Check out Pig and a Pickle, 2 locations, Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. And this video is also brought to you by Mojo Fantasy. I'm loving Mojo Fantasy. Check that link in the description and hit the promo code Krug, K-R-U-E-G, and they'll match you up to your first $100 deposited. Everybody who does it automatically is entered into a running to win a Bosa or a Purdy jersey, which we'll give away on the postgame show on Thanksgiving night. All right, let's talk about all the happenings down here in Santa Clara on this Wednesday. First little transactions. The Niners have re-signed Spencer Waege to the practice squad and cut Austin Bryant. So I was talking to Spencer in the locker room, and he said he's been working out on the farm since the Niners cut him at the end of camp, and just waiting for an opportunity. Wasn't sure if the phone would ring in a week or a month, or here it is mid-November, and he's getting the call back. So the Niners are looking for defensive reinforcements up front, and obviously with the addition of Randy Gregory and Chase Young, they felt maybe a little bit more fortified at defensive end than they were at tackle, and so they signed Spencer Waege at tackle, and they cut Austin Bryant at defensive end. So that was the first thing that happened today. The 49ers also, it was announced today that the Niners game with Philly, which is set for Week 13, will not be flexed into Sunday Night Football. So that is official. Fox making sure they're keeping their game of the year. Kyle Shanahan told us that Nick Zakelj in the game this week tore his bicep, and he's been placed on season-ending IR. And the 49ers will likely call one of their 2 new offensive linemen off the practice squad in the next couple days. I believe Jesse Davis and Henry Byrd are the 2 offensive linemen that they have on the practice squad. So one of those guys most likely will get called off the practice squad later on this week. As far as the 49er offensive line, I think the 49ers have to feel pretty good about the job their offensive line has done protecting Brock Purdy. I read today that 24 quarterbacks have been sacked more often this year than Brock Purdy. So the O-line, even though I know there's a lot of people that are like, hey, let's be critical of the O-line, and they've been far from perfect, but 24 quarterbacks have been sacked more than Purdy. So it's not like he's sitting back there just taking sack after sack after sack. John Feliciano is likely going to start for Aaron Banks at left guard again against the Buccaneers. 49ers, Colton McKivitz has a couple different injuries that he's nursing. He'll be limited in practice today, and whether or not he starts or not, it could be Matt Pryor, it could be Jalen Moore. At right tackle, we'll find out later in the week what Kyle's thinking on that front. Nick Bosa wins the NFC's Defensive Player of the Week award. Bosa played 37 snaps against Jacksonville. He had 1.5 sacks and a forced fumble. It'll be interesting to see Brock Purdy going against Tampa. Of course, Brock's first win last year was against Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers team, 35-7. Purdy beat Brady and company in his first career start. Purdy that day was 16 of 21, so he completed 76% for 185 yards, 2 touchdowns, a rushing touchdown, a 134 quarterback rating, and a 93.5 QBR. So the Niners would gladly take those numbers again if he could produce that Sunday against these Buccaneers. Now, Shanahan talked about the injuries. Aaron Banks remains out with the turf toe, so Feliciano starts in his place. Trent Williams today is getting a vet day, but he also is still battling a little bit of the ankle injury. Colton McKivitz has got an ankle as well. He will practice today, but in a limited fashion. And then Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles also has an ankle injury. He's going to practice in a limited fashion as well. One of the lines of the day coming out of the locker room was Christian McCaffrey, who said that Trent Williams might be the best player he's ever seen. And McCaffrey being very impressed by Trent Williams and the job that he's done thus far. Saw this today. If the season ended today, the 49ers would be the 3 seed in the NFC playoffs. They would be taking on Dallas, the 6 seed in the first round. Philly would have the first round bye, so they wouldn't play. Seattle, as the 5 seed, would take on New Orleans as the 4 seed, and then Detroit as the 2 seed would take on Minnesota as the 7th seed. So that's how the playoffs would come down if the season ended today. One of the things that we're going to see this weekend is we're going to see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers most likely blitz Brock Purdy. The Buccaneers blitz at the second highest rate in the NFL behind only Minnesota. And Purdy this year has been really good against the blitz. He's thrown for 892 yards, 8.3 yards per attempt, with 8 touchdowns and 1 interception. So he's been good against the blitz, but Todd Bowles' reputation is that he brings the blitz. So we will see. Tampa blitzes 24.3% of the time. That's the second highest rate in the NFL. A couple things on this Tampa team. One, the Niners are an 11.5-point favorite going into this game. It'll be interesting to see if that line moves at all as we get closer to kickoff. But Tampa Bay they've got 8 turnovers this year, which is a very low number. That's the second fewest in the NFL. They also have 16 takeaways, so that's the 6th most. So they're plus 8 in turnover margin. That's 3rd best in the NFL, and that's how they win games. They really win games by taking the ball away. And then Baker Mayfield really has played pretty well this year. Teams play a lot of zone against Baker instead of man-to-man. They play man-to-man only 31% of the snaps, second lowest rate in the NFL. They play a lot of zone against Baker, 66% zone against Baker this year. And if you look at his QBR, you can see why. His QBR against man-to-man coverage is 82.6, so that's 5th best in the NFL. His QBR against zone coverages drops to 48.8, so that's 18th in the league. So I would imagine you're going to see the 49ers, trying to get it done with 4 up front and then playing a lot of zone behind it. Interestingly enough, when you look at, Brock Purdy, now at this point, he's now played a full season. He's played 17 games, and that was brought up to Kyle Shanahan. It's like, do you feel like you have a good idea of what Brock is? I feel like we do have a pretty good idea of what Brock is. He's completed 68% of his passes, 31 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, a 110.6 quarterback rating. That quarterback rating would lead the NFL the last 2 seasons, 22 and 23. So he's played very, very well. And 68% is a good completion percentage. It's right on line with what he completed at Iowa State. 31 touchdowns, 8 picks. You'll take that every day. So, if we have a pretty good idea what Brock is after a full season of 17 NFL games, it looks pretty good. I mean, the early returns are definitely good. As I mentioned, Tampa Bay takes the ball away 16 times, 6th most in the league. But where they've really been great, and it's going to be probably where this game gets decided on Sunday, is in the red zone. Tampa's red zone touchdown percentage is just 32%. They're only allowing teams to score touchdowns on 32% of their trips inside the red zone. That is the best in the NFL. So that's where this game, I think, is probably going to be won. Tampa does have a lot of great individual players on both sides of the ball. Vita Vea leads them with 4.5 sacks. Shaq Barrett leads them in pass rush win rate off the edge. Levante David's been around forever. He's tremendous. Devin White is as good a linebacker as there is. That duo is leading this Tampa defense to only allowing 3.7 yards per carry, which is the 6th best figure in the NFL. They do a good job at stopping the run. And then on the back end, Antoine Winfield has been incredible. This is Antoine Winfield's kid, Antoine Winfield Jr., the former Minnesota Golden Gopher. He's got 3 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries. He's got a pick. He's got 2 sacks. He makes a ton of plays. So the Niners are going to have to get Antoine Winfield blocked and take account for where he is on the field. Tampa has been banged up on the corner, though. Coming into this game, Carlton Davis didn't play last week. Jamel Dean's been dinged up. They're banged up in the secondary at the corner spot, so that will be interesting to see how they match up with the Niner receivers. Niners also, by the way, worked out a veteran quarterback, Chris Strevler. He worked out on Monday for the 49ers. I'm not sure what the plan is there with Strevler, if it's about intel or if it's about, potentially adding a quarterback to the practice squad. but Strevler did work out. Also, I had a chance to go in the locker room today, and I talked to Darrell Luter Jr. He's working his way back from the knee injury and is chomping at the bit to be activated. There's still two more opportunities for him to be activated before his season is officially done. So he's really bouncing around, very excited. Talanoa Hufanga said that he's watched the film like 5 times of Jacksonville already, that he watches it 2 or 3 times before they even get on the plane. He says he loves football and he's just all into it. Ambry Thomas said that he really felt like, I talked to him today, he said he felt like, he was glad to get an opportunity. He's taking it one game at a time, but he liked the way, the coverage played on the back end, and he was excited to get out there last week against Jacksonville and expects to be back out there this week against Tampa Bay. Talked to Spencer Waege now that he's back. Talked to Nick Bosa and Fred Warner. And the 49ers are excited for Tampa. They know that they've got to put together another win here against Tampa. If the Niners want to be the home field and number 1 seed in the NFC, they may have to win out. And I think they realize that at this point, and they absolutely cannot lose on Sunday to Tampa Bay if they want to have any chance of hosting that NFC Championship game later this year right here at Levi's. So that does it from Levi's today. A number of interesting notes. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. And thanks to Mojo Fantasy. Check that link in the description and use that promo code KRUG, KRUEG, and they'll match you up to your first $100. And everybody who does automatically is entered into a drawing for a Purdy or a Bosa jersey, which will be awarded on Thanksgiving night in the post-game show after Niners Seahawks. And that does it from down here in Santa Clara. Thanks for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.